Welcome to podcast number 17, Mike Ferry with Mr. Leigh Marcus from Chicago, Illinois. Leigh has been without a doubt, a superstar productive agent for many, many years. And we're just talking and chatting about the fact that Leigh is thinking about retiring in about 7 to 8, 9 years. And of course, my first thought was, he looks like he's 32 years old. So that's a little young, but we'll have some fun with Leigh. And I want everybody to say hello to Mr. Leigh Marcus. Leigh, good morning. And what a treat to have you on the podcast today.
Great to be here, Mike. Thank you.
So tell them who you work for and what part of Chicago you service.
Sure. So I work for the brokerage at Properties, and I service the north side of Chicago and the North Shore suburbs as well.
What is the average sales price that you would have in your market?
The average sales price in part of my market is like 700,000, and then parts of my market's about 2 million.
Wow. So I'm assuming, folks, excuse me, I'm trying to get my voice back today. I'm assuming that you're more listing dominated than buyer controlled sale.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, I'm 70% listing, 30% buyer. But I do have one agent, mostly a buyer's agent on my team. And so personally, I only do 1 to 2 buyer deals a year personally. So
Good.
I'm 95% listing.
So how many hours a week do you put in at this level of your business?
Consistently, my business plan calls for 2.5 hours a day. So 10, maybe 11 hours a week of prospecting.
Good. And you've been doing that for how long?
Since 2009, so 17 years.
Do you ever get tired of it, bored with it?
I do. Yeah, I do. I get tired of it. I get bored of it. I do. And I think that's one of the main things I constantly work on is improving the quality of the list that I'm calling after 17 years. So, yeah.
To me, the efficiency with who you're calling is as important as the call themselves.
Yeah.
And I can see you agree. So, you've gone through an interesting and a very different change with your business model. You're with a great mastermind group. I know all the players.
Yeah.
Some of them have built wonderful teams. I'm not sure why. And you were building a team, and then you decided to stop building a team and go back towards personal production. Could you talk about that process?
Yeah, that was probably about a 5 to 7 year process. Probably about 7 years ago, I started to build more of a team, and I defined it as just more than one buyer's agent. I always had at least one buyer's agent. And in 2000 and maybe 18 or 19, I decided that I wanted more. And so I started to add more agents all the way through 2020 and COVID. And I got up to a peak of about 24 agents.
I remember.
And started to realize that I think my level of fulfillment and satisfaction is directly correlated to how many agents I have, and it's an inverse relationship. The more agents I have on my team, the less happy I am.
Interesting. Did you have a lot of turnover among your team members?
Yeah, we started to, and then I started to really look. I was mostly looking at my prospecting numbers, my productivity numbers, and I wasn't really looking at the team and how much of the production was coming from me that was pretty much funding the team.
Yes.
And so when I really started to look at the numbers, and it was like, well, why am I working this hard with this many people just to make this amount of money that I could work with almost nobody, that I can make with almost nobody on the team?
Yes. And, you're funding the team, And it's much more profitable to fund your own business and your own family
Yes.
and your own investments.
Yes.
So how long did it take you to unwind the team?
About 2 years total to
Okay.
unwind a team. I went down from 24 agents to maybe, and the first thing that caused that allowed us to, have less agents, the moment we upped the standard or tightened the standards was the moment the team started to disband. Because as soon as we increased our standards, we went from 24 agents to maybe 17. We probably lost, seven in the first week or two. And so then I didn't realize that that's what would happen. And the more you tighten the standards, the more people leave, which is in the end, what you want is A plus players.
Yes. So how many do you have now?
One.
One. So that is absolutely a definition of a perfect size team, in my opinion. Um,
And much more profitable.
I don't talk about not building a team very often because people in the audience get mad. But we had a guy, you'll get a kick out of this, Leigh. We had a guy, a broker sent me a letter and said, I've hired a brand new licensee. I've asked him to go to your training. He said, no, he wants to build a team. And I said to him, meaning the broker, what do you mean by building a team? He said, well, I'm officially starting on Monday. I want to hire 2 assistants and 3 or 4 buyer's agents and have a team. And the broker said, what do I do with him? I said, move his license to another company.
No question.
It doesn't even make sense in most cases because you either have leadership skills or sales skills. Very few people have both.
And I learned that way. If you want, I can share with you 1 or 2 things I learned in the process.
Yeah, interesting. So personal production, has your personal production come back strong?
Yeah, it has. It's amazing that I took all of the energy that I was putting into a team and I put it into personal production. And I feel like you get 10 times the results for that
10
effort.
times or 10 times the return.
Yeah, 10 times the return.
So how many transactions will you do this year?
I'll do 135 transactions.
That is better than having 24 team members. No question about it.
And some people can do it. So I just want to clarify. I bet that there are people that are, like you said, they're good at leadership, right? That are good at, and they can do it. But it's very hard. It's very different. I feel like, your system, like the Mike Ferry system, anybody, and I mean anybody, can be successful with the Mike Ferry system. Follow the plan, follow the 21 points. It doesn't matter what language you speak, what your background is. If you just follow the system, you will be successful, period.
That's right.
What I learned in building a team is it doesn't matter how successful you are as an agent. It's a whole different skill set when building a team.
That's right.
And there's a very, very high chance of failure.
Boy, you hit it right on the head. No question about it. So 135, 70% will be listings taken and sold, 30% buyer controlled sales, probably mostly through that one team member that you have.
Correct.
Good. What is your primary method of getting primary prospecting method for getting listings?
Database, past clients, center of influence, referrals.
Yeah, that is every winner that I ask that question of answers the same way with database, which is great. How big is your database?
2,500.
Wow, that's a good sized database. How do you communicate with them?
It's tough. It's really tough. Who do I actually communicate with quarterly is probably 1,200. I probably communicate with 1,200 people quarterly.
Yeah. And is that by phone or by letter or postcard?
So monthly mailing. You say to do quarterly mailing, but I just personally, I've done monthly mailing. I do monthly mailing to my database. I don't do that much email marketing. It's mostly mailing and calling. It's actually mostly calling. And
Yes,
I do a lot of, for calling, I do a lot of just listed, just sold calls into my database. So I call my database to
good.
let them know what I've listed and sold.
That is great. And generally, they have worked with you. They referred people to you. There's been a strong connection for them to be
Correct.
in database. I would assume.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes.
Good. So, what is the biggest hangup that you face today in keeping this large business growing and profitable?
I think I could be doing a better job with my database. I mean, if I have 25 people, 2,500 people, and I'm doing 135 deals, that's only a 5% return on my database. So I think there, I could be doing a much better job, a better job with my database.
Um, do you think complacency falls into the category?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I started to increase my price point, and there was a level of time where I only wanted to do, high-end deals to work
Yes.
less, and I started to go back towards, more listings taken, and as soon as I did that, my business exploded again.
Now that is great. So the biggest challenge is perfecting the business from the database.
Yeah. And fighting complacency, like you said, but I always just try and set bigger goals. So I don't feel complacent.
That's great. Um, your wife supports the change in the team status.
Yes, very much so. It'll actually allowed her to retire.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
One down,
One
one to
down
go.
to go. Yeah.
That's cute. How
So
does the comp-
she
Go
was
ahead.
helping the team. She was help running the team. She was doing a lot of that. And then as we disbanded the team, she was able to then take a step back and stop working.
That's that's great. How does the competition see Leigh Marcus in the marketplace?
I think they think that I call a lot of expired listings. I think they
Okay,
think that I do a lot of phone prospecting. I think they think I do a lot of cold door knocking prospecting, and I don't think they realize how much warm database
yeah,
prospecting I actually do.
yeah. And the good ones in town that are competitors operate in your model, or do they operate in the buying of business through advertising, marketing, etc.?
Yeah, a mix. There's some people that are main competitors that they literally work 24/7. They never take a day off.
Right.
They just it's a grind constantly, and it's a big, look at me. So there's a lot of ego. And then there's others that just work the high end, and they do a lot of marketing. Um, yeah, and then there's some that do calling.
Mike Ferry Events, where top producing agents get sharper. The original real estate coaching. Get registered today and invest in yourself.
So, if what you need to probably spend some time perfecting is the database, what is your biggest strength as a salesperson?
Um, Great question. Consistency.
Good.
Um, Putting the client first, right? I think we all know how to do a good job with clients and continue, making decisions that is gonna, I think you said in the I think in multiples. So like not just one transaction, but how is this gonna translate to 3 or 4 transactions?
Yes. How does one contact double and
Yeah.
triple itself?
Yeah.
That's the name of the game, no question about it. So um, we have 1,000 people in the room. You and I are going to do a 1 hour seminar, and I've tasked you with the thought of what are the 2 or 3 things that every salesperson that wants to be great does, accomplishes, works on, and uses to make their business work. And then I would say to the audience, and now Leigh Marcus.
So I would say work a repeatable system. I mean, you've provided your 21 point plan, your 21 points plan that you have for your sales system is the best that I've ever seen. And I've been in sales for IBM and major corporations, and all corporations have a system. Yours is the only repeatable sales system that I know of in real estate that works.
So, do you remember the great football coach, Bill Walsh?
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers, NFL championships and so forth. And I had the good fortune of meeting Bill. This is, 35 years ago. And a couple of his players had gone into real estate and were following Mike Ferry's sales system. And I met him and he said, "We do the same thing." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, you teach them step by step by step, and if they follow the steps, they succeed. I teach them step by step by step. If they follow the system, we succeed. So we're doing the same job." And I never thought of it that way. Did I ever tell you, Leigh, how I came about this Mike Ferry sales system?
No, you did not.
Um, I was doing a seminar someplace in the Midwest, and it was a real active group. It was a one-day event, and this guy walks up at lunchtime and said, "Can I buy you lunch?" And I said, "Okay. Why do you want to buy me lunch?" He said, "I want to discuss something very important with you." I thought he was going to try to sell me something, so I said, "Okay." I put on my hat that and now I'm a buyer, so to listen to this guy. And he said, "Do you realize that you just presented this morning what I would call the Mike Ferry sales system?" And I said, "I didn't realize that. How did you come to that conclusion?" "Well," he said, "you got to work the database. You got to do other methods of prospecting. You got to do good lead follow-up. You got to do good pre-qualifying. Got to have a strong presentation." He said, "You're giving us step by step by step." He said, "How long have you had that?" I said, "I discovered it today." Because I had never thought of it as a step-by-step. It was just always so logical to me that you would do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And in golf, because for those that are wondering, Leigh is taking up golf, and you will be a great golfer because of your skill set in learning and following instruction. In golf, if you follow the very steps that the golf coach teaches, you will hit the ball farther and straighter.
That's it.
My
It's not
14-year-old.
just about hitting it harder.
Well, that's the challenge. Everybody wants to hit it real hard.
Correct.
My swing is so easy and soft that they wonder how I get any distance. I said, "Well, when you're not looking, I kick the ball."
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything in life is step by step, and that's how the Mike Ferry sales system became titled as the sales system. So thank you for mentioning it, and thank you, more importantly, for using it. And you know who thanks you the most? Your customers.
Yeah, I would say that's a great point. Anytime my business has been off track, it's because I've deviated from something in the system. It's because I've tried to make it more complicated than it actually is.
Yeah, I think, when the commissions rise in levels and we want to create more importance on the commission check, then we start moving away from the Mike Ferry sales system. I told somebody, one of the people on this list of people that we've done podcasts with, I told him, I said, if you think about it this way, there's only so many chances that we are given to succeed.
Yeah.
The question is, are you succeeding more often than you're failing? And the person said to me, "Well, I just feel like if I just keep going, I'm always going to succeed." I said, "I'm going to suggest you slow down to speed up."
And that is really hard.
And that, especially for a personality like you and I.
I think defining slowing down, part of it is going back to the notes. You have the 25-point system out there. You have the different points you've put together for each, and reviewing them, and you can start to see where we're deviating. That's part of slowing down.
It's interesting. Professional athletes have a playbook, and whatever the sport is, they are always reading, reviewing their playbook. And you see it when they're sitting on the bench, you see them talking and huddling, and they're talking about a play and how to make it work. They're trying to follow the system. And those that follow the system win championships. Those that don't are
Yes.
working at McDonald's. You know,
Yes.
so it's one of those
Yes.
interesting things. So, how long can you do this? Because you've been doing it a long time, very successfully.
Yeah, no. So I've been in coaching with you, if you believe in it, 17 years in
Good.
coaching. And I mean, the way I'm doing it now, I don't feel like I would ever have to stop.
Say the last part of that.
The way I'm doing my business now, I don't feel like I would ever have to stop.
Good for you. So you and I are on the same track. Because I get asked every day, "When are you going to quit?" I said, "When you start."
Yeah. I've shifted to, not making it so much of a grind. I don't really, I mean, for some reason now I have the best clients. I only work with people that, want to sell, that I think would be good to work with. And there's a lot of them out there, people that want to work with us and take our advice, and not from an ego standpoint, more from just that's who we want to work with. And I take a lot of personal time, take a lot of vacations, take a lot of to make sure I'm not burning out anymore. And I think
Yeah.
that makes it very scalable, which we kind of learned from you. I mean, you said how much golf you played and how much time you spent doing things that you enjoy. It just took
Yes.
me a long time to realize that.
Well, I think everybody has a point where they have enough, whatever it is, success, listings, income, net worth, whatever that goal is, and they can say, "I've done it. Now let me relax and enjoy the experience going forward." And most of the
Yes.
people that you and I hang out with are enjoying selling real estate more because they don't have to sell real estate.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
makes a big, big difference. So you gave great advice to the people that were in our audience, and that was to follow the Mike Ferry sales system. What is the second thing you would tell them to do?
Don't quit. Don't
Don't
quit.
quit.
Don't
Yeah.
quit. This business, residential real estate can really knock you down. You're working with clients, you have, it's emotional, things are hard. It's not an easy business. And especially when you're starting out, that it's hard to see the top of the mountain from where you're at.
That's
But
right.
if you realize that if you don't quit, you will win. That's it. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, it might take some time. It will take some time, but
Yes.
it works. And so there is no easy path. There is no fast track. It's just working day in and day out. That works.
Most agents scroll. Top agents study. Follow Mike Ferry on all platforms and think like top real estate agents do.
You know what I get asked all the time, you're lucky to hang out with a lot of top producers, and the Michael Youngs and Brianne and Josh and Bernie and all the great people in your mastermind group, Jeff, the whole group. And they say to me all the time, are their egos really big? I said, I've never even spotted their egos. I don't even see it in them, because they are doing what they love to do, and they're doing it at a high level, and they're getting a lot of results for their clients. And that's what the business is all about.
When
You know,
when you're doing, ego is no bueno. When you're doing it from ego, it takes a lot more out of you.
oh yeah. Well, as you've heard me say, EGO, if you cross out the E, what's left? Go.
Go.
Put the E back on, ego, you stop because you're so
Stop.
impressed with
Yeah.
yourself. Well, the good news is we've been talking for 25 minutes already, which is time flies when you're having a good time. That's for sure. So will we see you in June at the retreat or October at the retreat?
June at the retreat and maybe October.
Say it again, June?
June for sure, and maybe October.
Good. Yeah. Well, we assume that the market for people like yourself is always going to be good. It's just a matter of how good is it going to be. And that determines what you do in the next 3, 6, 9 months. But I'm assuming that no matter what the market does, Leigh Marcus is going to come out on top.
No doubt.
It's the attitude that you display and the enthusiasm and energy that you have. Can I ask a personal question?
Sure.
How old are you?
47.
Wow, you still have 20 years.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That is great. Well, I'm going to say to our audience, we've had the good fortune of spending, 25, 28 minutes with Mr. Leigh Marcus from Chicago, Illinois. Long time, very fortunate for us, a long time client. I think he said 17 years in coaching with us. And folks, for those that watch, we're not selling anything to you except the good ideas that our presenters present. But if you get involved, stay involved. And that's what Leigh and all these people have done. So exactly. Thank you, Leigh. What a treat. Looking forward to seeing you the first week in June.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Get your West Coast Superstar Retreat ticket today and discover the fastest path to higher production. Click the link in the description below.